The unexpected encounter. The desert planet was silent, its cracked ground stretching for miles. The man walked slowly, carrying only a small bag of supplies. His ship had broken down 2 days ago, and he had been searching for water and food with no luck. The air was thin and hot. The sun above him burned like fire. Every step felt heavier than the last. As he reached a broken ridge of stone, he heard something unusual, a soft sound, like a whisper. He stopped, his heart beating fast. He looked around but saw nothing. Then he heard it again. This time it was clearer. It sounded like voices, but not human. He moved closer, hiding behind sharp rocks. There in the shadows, he saw them, 2 figures kneeling on the ground, their bodies thin and trembling. Their skin glowed faintly as if the sunlight touched them differently. They had eyes too bright, too sharp, not like humans. He realized they were not from his world. They were alien. The 2 sisters were speaking in a soft language, strange and flowing like music. They seemed weak. One of them tried to stand but collapsed again. The man hesitated, fear pressed against his chest. But at the same time, something inside him pushed forward. He stepped out from behind the rocks. The sisters froze, their glowing eyes fixed on him. For a moment, there was silence. Only the wind moved between them. The man reached into his bag, pulling out the last piece of food he had, a small pack of dried bread and fruit. His hands shook as he placed it on the ground. Slowly, he pushed it toward them. At first, they did not move. They looked at each other, their faces sharp with suspicion. But then, the younger sister reached out. Her thin fingers touched the bread. She pulled it close and took a bite. Her eyes widened, as if she had never tasted anything like it. A soft light shimmered around her face. The older sister followed and soon were eating quietly, their weak bodies gaining strength. The man watched, his throat dry. He had just given away the last of his food. He did not know if he would survive the next day. But something about their hunger had broken his fear. After a few minutes, the sisters looked at him again. Their expressions had changed. Their glowing eyes now softer, filled with something strange, not just gratitude, but recognition. They whispered to each other again. This time the man could hear a single word in their language. It sounded almost like chosen. The air grew heavier. The ground beneath them vibrated faintly. At first he thought it was just the wind moving across the cliffs, but then the sound grew stronger, deep like thunder. The man looked up, his heart racing. In the distance, the sky was changing. Faint dots of light appeared, moving fast. The sisters stood now, their weakness gone, their faces serious. The older one spoke in broken English, her voice sharp but calm. "You gave food. You gave trust. They come now." The man felt a chill run through his body. "Who is coming?" he asked, his voice shaking. The younger sister lifted her hand, pointing to the sky. The faint dots grew larger, brighter, like stars falling from space. "Our people," she said softly, her eyes glowing brighter than before. "They will not ignore this act." The man stepped back, fear tightening inside him. "Act? I only gave you food," he whispered. But his words were lost in the growing roar from above. The sky was filling with light. Hundreds, then thousands of ships appeared, their dark shapes covering the horizon. The ground trembled with their arrival. The silence of the desert was shattered by the thunder of engines. The man could not believe what he was seeing. The sisters looked at him with calm eyes, their faces unreadable. "It has begun," the older one said. The man stared at the endless, his fleet appearing above him, his heart pounding. He thought of Earth, of humanity. He thought of the small piece of bread he had shared. He realized his life, and perhaps the fate of his entire species, had changed in that single moment. Above him, the sky was no longer blue. It was filled with shadows of warships, each one shining like a dark star. The desert wind howled around him, and in the distance, the roar of 10,000 ships grew louder. The man did not know if he had saved himself or doomed them all. Whispers of power. The desert was no longer silent. The man stood frozen, his eyes locked on the sky as more and more warships filled the heavens. They glowed like burning stars, their shadows falling across the cracked ground. The sound of their engines made the air itself shake. The two alien sisters did not move. They stood with calm faces, as if the sight of thousands of ships was nothing new to them. The younger sister closed her eyes and placed a hand on her chest. Her lips moved in a whisper, strange words in a language older than the stars. The older sister turned to the man and said, "You have done what no other human has done. You have fed us. You have touched the law." The man frowned, his voice unsteady. "What law? What are you talking about?" The older sister's eyes glowed brighter, like fire hidden behind glass. "In our world, food is trust. To share food is to accept destiny. You did not just feed two sisters, you called an empire." The man's heart pounded. He took a step back. The desert felt too small, too thin under the weight of what she was saying. "I didn't know," he whispered. "I only wanted to help." The younger sister opened her eyes, and for the first time she spoke in broken English. Her voice was soft but sharp. "Kindness is never small. Your act reached the stars." As the words left her mouth, the warships above shifted. Their formation moved like waves in an ocean. Lights blinked across their hulls as if they were speaking to each other. The man's stomach turned cold. Every ship had like a mountain of steel, each one powerful enough to erase a city. The sisters walked closer to him, their steps light but steady. The older one said, "You are seen now, and they will come for you." The man shook his head, his voice rising. "Why me? I am no soldier. I am no leader. I am just a traveler. My ship is broken. I am nothing." The younger sister tilted her head, her glowing eyes never leaving his face. "To us, you are the chosen. It cannot be undone." The air cracked with thunder. The first warship broke through the clouds, descending lower. Its shadow swallowed the desert. The man felt like an insect standing under a god. The ground trembled, rocks split, sand rose in waves. The sisters did not flinch. Their glowing hair swayed with the wind as if they had been waiting for this moment their entire lives. The man looked at them, fear and anger mixed inside him. "You brought them here, didn't you? You knew this would happen." The older sister's lips curved into the smallest smile. "We hoped, but it was your choice. Your kindness made the call." The man's chest tightened. He wanted to run, to hide, but where could he go? The sky itself was covered in ships. The desert offered no shelter. Suddenly, a deep sound echoed from above. Not like thunder, not like engines, but like a voice made of metal and fire. It rolled across the land, shaking the ground beneath his feet. The sisters bowed their heads. The younger one whispered, "They speak. The fleet has arrived, and they judge." The man's throat went dry. His knees weakened. He looked up at the burning sky and whispered to himself, "What have I done?" The clouds broke open fully, and a giant warship descended, larger than all the rest. Its surface shimmered with symbols. Its engines roared like storms, and its presence alone made the air heavy. The sisters turned toward him, their faces glowing with strange love. "Right," the older one said. "Now you will see the truth. Now you will face the choice." The man could only stare as the shadow of the great ship swallowed him whole, his heart beating like a drum. Above him, the sky was alive with power, and deep inside, a whisper grew louder. His life was no longer his own. The arrival. The man stood in silence as the massive warship lowered from the sky. Its shadow stretched across the desert, covering him and the sisters in darkness. The roar of its engines shook the air, and sand swirled in violent circles around them. The sisters did not move, their glowing eyes locked on the giant vessel. The younger one placed her hand against the ground as if feeling the pulse of the earth. The older one whispered in her alien tongue, the words heavy like prayers. The man's chest tightened, his voice broke. "This is too much. This is impossible. Why are they here for me?" The older sister turned slowly, her gaze sharp but calm. "Not for you alone. For what you represent, a human chose to share. A human gave without asking. In our laws, this is power. In their eyes, it is a signal. The man felt his legs weaken, his throat dry. "I didn't mean for this. I only wanted to survive. To help you." The younger sister looked at him, her eyes glowing brighter. "That is why it matters. Kindness without purpose is the strongest kind." The warship's hull split open with a deep rumble. A column of blue light spilled downward, striking the desert floor. The heat was intense, the sound like 1,000 drums. The man shielded his face, fear crawling inside him. From the light, a shape began to form. Tall and armored, alien figures descended slowly, their armor glowing with the same light as the sisters' skin, their presence heavy, each step shaking the sand. The sisters bowed their heads. The man froze, his heart racing. He felt smaller than he ever had in his life. The tallest alien raised its hand, and the entire fleet above shifted, the warship's moat. Ving in perfect silence, as if connected to that single command, the alien spoke, its voice deep and layered, like thunder mixed with steel. The words strange but somehow understood in the man's mind. "The chosen has given, and so the fleet has come." The man stumbled back, shaking his head. No, I am not chosen. I am nobody." His voice broke into the storm of sound. The alien's gaze pierced him, its glowing eyes burning like stars. "A meal given to our lost blood is not nothing. It is everything. It binds you to the trial." The man's stomach turned cold. Trial. The word echoed in his mind like a curse. He looked at the sisters. "What trial? What are they talking about?" The older sister's voice was quiet but steady. "They will test you, and through you, they will test all of humanity." The desert wind howled. Lightning cracked across the sky, though no clouds remained. The fleet pulsed with light as if alive. The man felt as if the universe itself had turned its eyes upon him. The alien commander stepped forward, the sand trembling under its weight. It pointed a hand at the man. "You will stand before the fleet. You will be judged. You will show if your species is worthy." The man's mouth went dry. Fear gripped his chest. "And if I fail?" he asked. The alien's voice rolled like thunder. "Then 10,000 warships will fall upon your world, and humanity will burn." The man's knees weakened. He almost fell. His mind screamed to run, to escape, but he knew there was nowhere to go. The younger sister reached out, placing her glowing hand on his arm, her touch warm, her voice gentle. "Do not fear. You showed heart when no one watched. That heart will carry you." The older sister's eyes locked on his, sharp as blades. "But remember, once the trial begins, mercy will not protect you, only truth will." The column of blue light widened, stretching high into the sky. The wall, her ship above, thundered with energy. The alien commander gestured for the man to step forward. The man's body trembled, his breath shallow, but his feet began to move, each step heavy as if the weight of an entire planet pressed against his shoulders. He walked into the light, the sisters following silently, their glowing forms casting strange shadows. Above, the fleet rumbled as if waiting, 10,000 warships watching, judging, the fate of humanity hanging on the actions of one man who had only shared a meal. The desert vanished in the brightness, and the man felt himself pulled upward, into the heart of the ship, into the unknown, the test of humanity. The man's body felt weightless as the blue light carried him upward, his heart pounded in his chest. When the brightness faded, he found himself standing inside a colossal chamber, its walls alive with flowing symbols of light. The air heavy with power, rows upon rows of alien figures surrounded him, their armor shining, their eyes glowing, their voices a deep hum that echoed through the vast hall. The man felt like an insect in front of giants, every gaze fixed on him. The sisters stood beside him, calm and steady, their glowing faces serious. The older sister leaned closer and whispered, "This is the Hall of Judgment. They will decide the fate of your people." The man swallowed hard, his voice shaking. "I never asked for this. I'm not ready. I can't speak for all of humanity." The younger sister's eyes softened. "But you must, because you are the one who acted without reason. You are the one they see as truth." Suddenly, a voice boomed across the chamber, deep and endless. It came from the alien commander seated high above on a throne of light. "Human, you stand before the fleet. Your act has summoned us. Now you will be tested." The man lifted his head, forcing himself to speak. "I only gave food. I only wanted to help." The chamber echoed with low murmurs, alien voices rising in disagreement, some sharp, some filled with suspicion. One alien general stepped forward, its armor dark as night, its voice sharp like blades. "A human act of kindness means nothing. Humans destroy, humans take. They are dangerous. We must burn their world before it burns us." The man's breath caught. His legs almost gave out. He wanted to deny it, but memories of human wars and violence filled his mind. The older sister stepped forward, her voice strong. "But this man gave without fear, without asking for reward. That is the heart of humanity, and it must be weighed." The chamber silenced. The commander raised a hand. "The trial will begin." A circle of light formed around the man, energy rising from the floor. His body trembled, the air filled with visions. He saw Earth, its oceans and mountains, its cities bright with lights. And then he saw war, fire, and destruction. Images of humanity's darkest moments shone to the fleet. The man fell to his knees, his voice breaking. "This is not all we are. We are not only war. We are not only pain." The younger sister placed a hand on his shoulder, her glow surrounding him. "Stand. Show them more." The visions shifted again, now showing people helping each other, families sharing meals, strangers protecting strangers, lives saved in storms and disasters, the kindness that lived even in shadows of chaos. The alien general snarled, "Tricks, illusions, humans are liars." The man's voice rose, stronger now. "No, it is not illusion. It is truth. We fight, yes, but we also love. We protect. We hope. Without that hope, we would not exist. Without that hope, I would not be here." The chamber rumbled. The aliens' eyes burned brighter. Their murmurs rose again. Some voices agreeing, others still calling for war. The commander stood, his presence silencing all others. "The test is not yet done, human. You must show if your people are worthy not with words alone, but with courage." A second circle of light opened, darker and sharper, and from it rose a beast of energy, a living creature of flame and shadow. Its roar shook the hall. The man stumbled back, fear choking him. The sisters stepped forward, but the commander raised a hand. No, he must face this trial alone. The beast advanced, its eyes burning with fire, its claws tearing the ground. The man's legs trembled. He had no weapon, no shield, only his will. He thought of running, of hiding. But then he remembered the sisters' faces when they were starving. He remembered how easy it would have been to walk away. But he hadn't. He had given. His fists clenched, his voice rang out. "I will not run. I will not hide. If you want to see humanity, then see me now." The chamber shook as the beast lunged forward, and the man stepped into the storm, his heart burning brighter than his fear. The trial of the sky. The beast roared like fire, its body glowing with shadows and flames, its eyes burning as if they carried the rage of the stars. The man stood inside the circle of light, his legs weak but his heart steady. The aliens around the chamber watched in silence, their glowing eyes locked on him, some expecting him to fall in fear, others waiting for proof that humanity was more than weakness. The man clenched his fists, sweat on his face. He had no weapon, no armor, nothing but himself. He whispered to himself, "If I run now, it means they were right about us. If I fall, I must fall standing." The beast lunged, its claws slashing through the air like lightning. The man jumped aside. The ground cracked where the claws struck, fire bursting upward, the heat burning his skin. He stumbled but did not fall. The younger sister cried out softly from the edge of the circle, her voice breaking. "Do not give in. You are more than fear." The beast roared again, charging at him. The man's heart thundered, his bai, wreath sharp. He had faced danger before, but nothing like this. This was beyond flesh. This was a trial of spirit. He remembered the hunger in the sisters' eyes when he had given them food, the moment their fear turned to hope. He held on to that memory like a weapon. As the beast came down on him again, he did not run. He raised his arms, bracing himself. The impact threw him across the circle. Pain exploded in his chest, but he forced himself back to his feet, his voice shouting into the hall. "You want to see humanity? Then see our strength. It is not in weapons. It is not in power. It is in standing back up when the world tries to break us." The beast roared again, striking with fury, but the man did not retreat. Every blow shook his body, every strike cut his skin, yet he kept rising, blood on his face, fire in his eyes. The chamber filled with murmurs, alien voices rising in shock. Some whispered, "End it." Others whispered, "Worthy." The commander watched in silence, his glowing gaze unreadable. The older sister's voice cut through the noise, sharp and steady. "Look at him. He has no weapon, no shield, yet he does not surrender. Is this not the spirit you fear and respect?" The beast attacked one final time, a wave of fire tearing through the circle. The man screamed as the flames engulfed him, but he pushed forward through the blaze, his fists slamming against the creature's chest. There was a blinding flash. The beast shattered into smoke and light, its roar fading into silence. The circle dimmed, and the man fell to his knees, his body shaking, his breath ragged. The chamber was silent, every alien eye fixed on him. He had not destroyed the beast with power. He had endured it. He had faced fear with nothing but will. The commander rose slowly from his throne, his voice booming across the hall. He stands still. He falls but rises. He breaks but does not yield. Is this the truth of humanity? The voices of the fleet echoed, some shouting yes, others still resisting. The chamber shook with the clash of opinion. The man lifted his head, blood on his face, his voice hoarse but strong. "We are not perfect. We fight, we fail, we fall, but we rise again. We protect what matters. We share even when we have nothing. That is what I showed when I gave food. That is what I show now." The younger sister's eyes shone with light, her voice soft. "This is why he was chosen." The chamber quieted. The commander's glowing eyes burned brighter, his voice deep as thunder. "Then the trial moves to its final stage. The judgment of the fleet will decide." The air grew heavy. The warships above roared, their engines shaking the stars. The man realized the fate of Earth balanced on a single choice. One vote among 10,000 ships. He closed his eyes, whispering to himself, "Let them see the truth. Let them see us. War or alliance." The chamber trembled as the voices of the fleet rose, the sound of 10,000 warships echoing like thunder in the sky above. Some shouted for alliance, others demanded destruction. The hall itself felt alive with conflict. The man stood in the fading circle of light, his body bruised, his breath weak, yet his eyes steady. He had nothing left to give but his voice. He whispered to himself, "I must not break now. If I break, Earth is lost." The commander raised his hand, silencing the uproar for a moment, his glowing gaze fixed on the man. "The trial is nearly complete, but the fleet remains divided. Some see hope, others see danger. Now you must show one final truth. Speak, human. Why should we spare your kind?" The man's chest ached, but he lifted his head, his voice echoing in the hall. "Because we are more than our scars, more than our wars. We fall, but we rise. We destroy, but we also build. We are not only violence, we are love, we are kindness, we are the spark that shares even when nothing remains." Murmurs rippled across the chamber, but a dark figure stepped forward. An alien general whose armor glowed crimson, his voice sharp and cold. "Lies. I have seen humans tear each other apart. I have seen them burn their own world. They cannot be trusted. They will one day turn on us as well. We must strike now before they grow stronger." The man's hands clenched, his voice rose louder. "Yes, we fight. Yes, we make mistakes. But we learn. We grow. Every act of kindness, every life saved, it proves we are worth more than just destruction. And if you burn us now, you destroy not just our violence, but our hope." The younger sister stepped forward, her voice clear and glowing. He is proof. He gave when he had nothing. That choice is the heart of humanity. The older sister added sharply, and if you fear humanity, it is because you know what they can become, not only destroyers, but protectors. The chamber shook again, voices rising, some shouting for war, others calling for alliance. The fleet was tearing itself apart in argument. The commander slammed his staff against the floor, the sound silencing all. His voice thundered, "If words cannot unite us, then action must decide." The walls of the chamber dissolved into light. The man gasped as he suddenly stood on open ground, high above a vast battlefield suspended in the sky. Thousands of warships hung in formation, their weapons glowing, their engines roaring. The commander's voice echoed across the void. "This is the final stage. The fleet will decide not with debate, but with fire. War or alliance will be written here." The man's heart froze. He looked at the endless weapons aimed at him. His voice broke. "You mean to test humanity by fire? By destruction?" The commander's eyes blazed. "By truth, for in battle the heart is revealed." The warships moved, the sky burned with light. Some ships powered their cannons, others held back. The entire fleet was split in two, a single spar. It could ignite war across the stars. The man stepped forward, his body trembling but his voice strong. "If you fire, if you burn, then you prove nothing but fear. But if you stand with me, if you hold back, then you prove that hope is stronger than fear." The chamber of ships trembled, beams of light charging. The man closed his eyes, his voice whispering to the void. "Let them see the truth. Let them choose wisely." The sisters stood at his side, their glowing hands raised, their voices united in a single word: trust. The sky itself seemed to hold its breath, 10,000 warships ready to decide, humanity's fate balanced on the edge of war and alliance. The final decision. The sky glowed with the light of 10,000 warships, their weapons charged, the engines roaring like storms. The man stood with the two sisters at his side, his body weak but his spirit burning. He knew in this moment the fate of Earth hung between fire and mercy. The commander raised his staff, his voice rolling across the void. "The fleet has seen the human's courage, his will, his kindness, but the fleet is divided. Now the choice must be made." The alien generals stood tall, their glowing eyes locked on the man. Some faces carved with suspicion, others with respect. The crimson-armored general shouted, "Humans are danger. They will rise and they will destroy. End them now." Another voice rose from the opposite side, strong and steady. "But look at him. No weapon, no power. Yet he stood against fear. He rose after every fall. If this is not the heart of worthiness, then what is?" The man's throat ached, his voice hoarse but clear. "I cannot change the past of my people. I cannot erase our scars, but I can show you what we strive to be. Not destroyers, but builders. Not tyrants, but protectors. Judge us not by our worst, but by the chance to become our best." The younger sister stepped forward, her glow shining brighter. "He fed us when he was starving. He gave when he had nothing. If humanity is this, then they must live." The older sister raised her hand toward the fleet, her voice sharp like steel. "But if you fear them, then you fear your own reflection. For humanity is not only danger, they are also promise." The fleet trembled with voices, ships turning in opposite directions, weapons glowing brighter. The universe itself seemed to wait for the answer. The commander lifted his staff high. The energy of the fleet pulsed through him. The sky blazed with light. Then his voice thundered. "The decision is made." The warships paused. Their weapons flickered, their engines silenced. The air grew heavy with stillness. The commander lowered his staff, his glowing eyes burning with power. "Humanity will not be destroyed. The act of kindness has spoken louder than fear. The fleet will not bring war. The fleet will bring respect." The man fell to his knees, his body shaking with relief, his heart pounding. The roar of destruction that had been ready to fall upon Earth vanished into silence. The crimson-armored general roared in anger. "This is weakness. This is madness." But his voice was drowned as the majority of the fleet shifted their ships, lowering their weapons, their engines glowing with peace instead of fire. The sisters stood tall, their glowing forms shimmering like stars. The older one spoke softly. "You have changed more than you know, human. With one simple act, you have rewritten the fate of worlds." The man lifted his head, his voice trembling. "I only gave food. I never thought it would matter." The younger sister smiled, her eyes warm. "That is why it mattered." Above them, the fleet roared once more, not in war but in unity. 10,000 warships bowing in the sky, their lights burning like a new constellation, a sign of alliance. The commander's voice echoed, deep and final. "Humanity is spared. Humanity is seen. Remember this. For the next time we come, it will not be for judgment, but for alliance, or for war, depending on the path you choose." The blue light wrapped around the man again, pulling him back to the desert. When the brightness faded, he was alone with the two sisters, the sky empty, the fleet gone as if it had never been. The man fell into the sand, the silence of the desert returning, his chest heavy with the weight of what had happened. The sisters looked down at him, their glowing eyes filled with something between sorrow and hope. The older one whispered, "Your story has only begun." The younger added softly, "All it took was a meal." The desert wind carried their voices away, and the man closed his eyes, knowing his simple act had changed the fate of humanity forever. The end. Enjoyed the story? Like it and subscribe for more.